Hey friends, so today's video is a little different from the regular game playthroughs that we usually see on this channel. Instead, I'll be showing you what I experienced during PAXAus 2022. This is my very first PAX, so I'm really excited to share this with you guys, and I'm so glad that the video is finally finished so I can. So our little group, Alk, Teal, Jay, and I, were in Melbourne for almost a week, and during the first couple of days, I didn't document that many things, and that was my bad, but I still will mention them briefly just before we get into all the videos and things. When we arrived on Wednesday, we napped after our flights and went straight to dinner at Rockpool in the Crown. It was very fancy, but we invited some friends and hung out for a few hours before basically heading back to the accommodation. That was about it for Wednesday. On Thursday, though we woke up a little bit late, we travelled into the city where I met my colleague for some crepe brulee at Uncle Tetsu's, and it's the only Uncle Tetsu's that does this, as far as I know, so we had to try it while we were in Melbourne. Our friend Panda then joined us and we headed to Million Life where we each won some plushies, including a big llama plush that I had to return for in a couple of days because there was a little incident and it got left behind. Anyway, after that we did some shopping for some snacks and for some hair dye before returning to our accommodation and dyeing each other's hair because we just needed to be colourful for PAX. It just makes sense. We then left our accommodation to go down the street to a pub where we held an open invite dinner and even got to see more friends before the event itself. I'm really glad we did that. It was my first time meeting a lot of them, so I was very nervous, and PAX is very hectic, so it was good to see a few of them before we actually got to the event. Now in our timeline, we're up to Friday, which means it's time for PAX. Unfortunately, I did forget to film in an actual vlogging style, but I will remember that for next year. But I was able to grab a bunch of footage anyway and record a voiceover, as well as include some photos of the whole trip. So without further ado, here's PAX Day 1. First thought walking in those doors was, we made it. And of course the first stop of the day was food, which was lucky because we found some Greek food inside. Look at Teal's happy dance. We then headed upstairs because our friend Boris had a panel and we met all the other friends in the crowd and outside afterwards. We had to then go get more food because Tia was hungry, and we found some vegan sushi for her, and we sat outside in the sun by the ship, which was really cool. I had to take some pickies. Back inside again, we headed to the Cursed Cakes panel hosted by our friend Gabby, and there was a huge line. Alk and Jay got some balloon swords and fought while we waited. The panel was really funny and had so many amazing friends involved, but we did have to leave a little early because we got some professional photos of our cosplays done by Steam Kittens. I'll tag them in the description. They go to a lot of conventions if you look for professional photos. Teal and I were able to go to a Women in Gaming networking hour earlier that day, which was really cool because we got to meet some other upcoming streamers and game devs, but of course I forgot to document it. Even after the professional photos were taken, we did go to the WWF Wildlife Streamers community meetup as well. But once again, no photos or videos. That was about it for all the events at the convention center during the day though, so we started to head out to the after parties for the night. First up was the thermal take party at Kingpin. It was such a chill party. We got to meet so many cool people as well, get a little goodie bag and take photos with the Polaroid cutout. Next stop was the Bethesda after party, which was very intense. It was our first time seeing the decorations for the Worlds of Bethesda exhibit, and although the others got to dance and mingle a little, the music and lights were a bit too much for my brain, so we actually headed back to the convention center. A bunch of us sat together and painted miniatures, which I absolutely loved, and despite it being my first time, I think I smashed it, considering we didn't have much time, only about 30 minutes to complete them. On our way out, we stopped by the Zelda Time Stone that Brett and I found earlier, and honestly, we got played. It was said to give us more info on Tears of the Kingdom, using the QR code on top, but well, I'll give you guys a chance to see what it did instead. From there, we got some macas and ended the night by painting Alk's nails before bed. Time for day 2, and Alk and I were once again matchy-matchy in our Beetlejuice outfits. We arrived at a decent time, but had to say bye-bye to Teal and Jay as they went to a closed influence event. So Alk and I got to explore the floor a little as well. First stop was the Cult of the Lamb booth, of course, but honestly, we walked just about everywhere we could. Here's me getting excited about dice. I even bought my first set. We also made it to the Twitch wall. I tried to see how many people I knew, and there were so many. I also wrote our names on the wall, of course. We then found the Zelda wall as well, and I was so happy I had to get a picture. Our next stop was the Ring of Power exhibit run by Prime Video. We met up with Dandy again too, so they were along for our adventures. This exhibit had costumes and props actually used on the show, which was really cool. As long as you posted on socials while you were there, you got a free themed pin. We also found some mystery boxes, and though I was really tempted, I never ended up getting one. Then we went into the city for the World of Bethesda Day event. Coming to see everything during the day was much better. You could actually see all the decorations and chat with the staff. We had a pretty large group with us at this point too, so it was good to all hang out and see everyone. The event had different sections to it. Apart from the dance floor, you could get Skyrim portraits done or experience an Elder Scroll roleplay section, which is what our group did. Jay was even one of the characters in the roleplay and got to keep his coin afterwards. They also had We Are Robots props and a Fallout room with a donut wall and cosplayers too. We even got to have our own Breton bitters to drink and take back with us. After this event, we quickly stopped back at Million Life to finally get my plushie caramel before returning back to the Airbnb for an afternoon nap. So we ended up sleeping in a bit and got to the Fortress PAX Gala fashionably late. I was very excited to check out Fortress, especially now that we were well rested. They had a photo booth where we could take all the pics together, the massive dance floor, and a set drinks list for the night. We got our drinks and headed to the floor. Some guy was painting a PC prize on stage. The lady DJ was absolutely killing it. And the guys took to the floor to show off their moves. Before we finished for the night, we got some photos at the photo booth. Day 3! I was so excited for day 3. Wearing our Hellfire Club merch, we set off and speed walked to the con so we could finally catch the queue hall. Unfortunately, there were no flames or confetti this year, but I'm still glad we got to experience the countdown. Sunday morning was also the only morning I had coffee during PAX. Who even am I? But I set to work on some name badges because I was finally hosting a Draconess meetup. Quite a few lovely beans showed up and I would definitely call it a success. We even had stickers, games, and cookies. After the meet, we were able to sneak into the Ubisoft Skull and Bones event where we saw the lovely Laura again and got to see some behind the scenes progress. I of course couldn't record that, but we took all the pictures with their props and grabbed some food too. The Pirate's Wheel was made by Ash Make Stuff. I'll also tag them below. And we even got to take a little keep cup home, which I use all the time now. I'm so glad we could make it to this event. It honestly made my trip. After that, we headed to the expo floor once again, since Teal hadn't gotten the chance to see it much, and Alk and I spent a lot of time in the indie game section. There were so many that I would have loved to play, and so many I'm looking forward to as well. I'll try and list them below if I can. While we were on the floor, we also got to see our friend John performing at the Aussie Broadband area, and he was absolutely smashing it as well. I'll also tag him so you all can check him out too, because he's such a wonderful human, and I've only got nice things to say about John. As it was nearing the end of the day, we were walking past all of the giveaways, and they were so crowded, just like this Logitech one. I also finally picked up my Ibis pin, which ended up being my first and only Penny Arcade pin for the year. While we were walking around, we also ran into Brox, who is another lovely human that actually recognised Alk by his Stitch emote stickers. He stuck around for a small chat and a picture and was overall wonderful as expected. Finally, the enforcers started to line up and chant. They were getting ready to kick us all out. Alk made sure I filmed and experienced this at least once, so I had to include it in the vlog. After that, we all walked out and watched as the swarms of nerds left the convention centre. As PAX itself came to a close, a few of us had to go our separate ways and say some goodbyes, but a few of us also stayed for a few more days. Alk and I had another party to go to that Sunday night anyway. We went to Mega Dev, and I of course to take videos of everything except for the food. Megadev was actually really cool. I didn't expect to network much as a creator, and went more to support Alk and his game dev stuff, but we got to meet some indie game devs, another streamer friend that happened to be there as well, and some PR managers for some gaming companies too. The next day we were supposed to go ice skating, but our feet were way too sore and we were so tired. We all met up for lunch instead. We got to see a few more lovely beans and some left after lunch, while a few of us travelled into the city back to one of the houses to play some games. It was such a nice afternoon hanging by the fake fire and testing out bananagrams into crypto for the first time, which were actually so fun. Here are some of the words we created, and yes, this photo is upside down. After the chill afternoon hanging with friends, Alk and I went to dinner with some family at the Spice Temple before meeting back up with Teal, Jay, Bread and Chaos at the arcade for some games. As a gift from Thermal Take, we had about 2 hours all up to kill at the arcade, so we were playing as many games as we could. Teal and Alk raced horses, Chaos and Teal were versing each other in Mario Kart. It was a very intense game. Teal and I played some air hockey, which is one of my faves at the arcade. Then Alk and Jay versed each other in Hungry Hungry Hippos. I think it was a great end to the trip. The next morning we woke up and Teal and Jay had already gone. They had an early flight back to New Zealand, so it was up to us to make sure nothing was left behind. I also like to take a video of the places we stay in just to help remember them. We began our trip to the airport. Alk found a room with an O3, so we had to get a pic. We made it to the station and got on the Skybus. Caramel was along for the ride as well. I took one last video of the city as we drove out, getting more sad the closer we got to the plane. Caramel was even feeling it. And then we flew home. One of the downsides to this whole event was me forgetting to take more photos with all the friends we met. PAX itself was a really fun time, but being able to see so many internet pals made the whole trip more amazing. So much so, I was too caught up in seeing them that I actually forgot to ask for selfies. I was, however, able to compile a few images from the friends I got photoed with, so with a last goodbye to PAX, I hope you enjoy these photos.